So when you think about it, it has to do with how do you want to approach your work? Do you want to approach your work from an obligatory mindset so that you become a polar bear going to work because you have to? Or do you want to approach your work like a penguin because you've chosen to be there? Again, I'm inviting you to think about your mindset on your way into work on an average, ordinary workday. Let me give you another example from the world of mountain climbing. Maurice Herzog, a Frenchman, was the first man to climb an 8,000-meter peak the year before Hillary climbed Mount Everest, 1952. He wrote a book called Annapurna. I read this book, and he made this interesting statement. He said at one point when they're 19,000 feet up on the side of a 26,500 foot mountain, we still had a long way to go. Like ants getting over an enormous obstacle, we climbed up without appearing to make any progress. The slope was very steep. The air was luminous, and the light was tinged with the most delicate blue. On the other side of the Kalura, ridges of bare ice refracted the light like prisms and sparkled with rainbow hues. The weather was still set fine, not a single cloud, and the air was dry. I felt in splendid form, and as if somehow I had found a perfect balance within myself. Was this, I wondered, the essence of happiness? So notice he's nowhere near achieving his goal of climbing the mountain. He's in the middle of the process. So think about each of those achievement black lines that I showed you earlier and all of the living that takes place in between. Here's a guy a long way from his goal, and yet he's aware of and experiencing the joy and the happiness of doing, of being in the activity that he loves so much. Well, so the question comes, how do you want to feel? Could you answer that question? I invite you to take a few moments, pause the program, and write down your first draft. Happy is not good enough. It doesn't differentiate from 7.5 billion other people. You need to be more specific. I showed you some examples earlier. Find the adjectives that would help you describe how you want to feel. One way to do that is to go back and think about peak experiences that you've had in the past when you experienced flow, and try to remember and reflect on not the activity, but on what it felt like. Most people have a very difficult time describing how they feel or how they felt because they don't pay attention to it. We've been taught that professionals will do what they have to do regardless of how they feel, so we've been taught to take that off the table. Bring it back onto the table, look at it, and try to describe it. Now, take a moment and write that, and then come back when you're ready. Your first draft may not be your last draft. So now that you've drafted how you want to feel, you might find, I went through 30 or 40 different drafts and variations before I settled on 3 words that I think summarize what it is for me. So if you wanted to manage your energy, what you also might do is take a moment and write down the things in life that energize you and the things in life that drain your energy. And I invite you to do that. Take a few moments now and write down those 2 categories. Things that give you energy and things that erode or destroy your energy. And then, when you're done, come back. And then you could ask yourself, okay, now how could I manage my energy level so that I am more of a penguin than a polar bear when I go into work? Joseph Campbell said, I think that what we're seeking in life is the experience of being alive. So their life experiences, remember Alinsky called them happenings unless they were analyzed. So that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonance with our innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. I wonder how often in your daily life you feel really, truly, fully alive, and whether or not you want that experience, and if you do, what you could do to manage the regularity, the proportion of those experiences, and expand that proportion in your life by actually managing your energy level. Now, do you think that energy is contagious? Do you believe that how you feel is going to affect the people around you? Think back on situations when you've been in a team meeting, in a group, perhaps even a family meeting, where someone else's feelings are affecting the group. They've done research on this, and it's pretty clear that mood is infectious. Mood is contagious. So, what's going on in your wake as you plow through life and you're leaving ripples in your wake behind you? Are people energized or de-energized by your passing? Are you leaving a net energy contribution to life, or are you a net energy consumer? So, you've probably met energy suckers, people who seem to have a hose, and when they meet you, they hook it into your rib cage and they just start sucking life out of you. I have decided it's too short a life to spend more time with those people. And if you habitually have turned into a net energy consumer, you might think seriously about your change quotient and whether or not you're ready to expand your energy level, manage it, so that when you go into the office, people view you and say, wow, that person is giving more energy than they consume, which